want to be a little bit more prepared for an emergency, but I don't want to go too crazy. That's what we're doing today. We are talking about beginning prepping. What small things could you do to be a little bit more prepared without spending all your money, time, and resources? If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Lena. I make videos about money and home because I want to empower you to see a brighter financial future for you and the people you care about. If that sounds good to you, please hit that subscribe button. This video was an idea from one of my wonderful subscribers, so I hope you enjoy. So since I am not a prepping expert yet, and I haven't really done much prepping myself, I wanted to learn from experts. So I went to theprepared.com and I found this wonderful article called Emergency Preparedness Checklist Prepping for Beginners. I thought that was so perfect, and I'm guessing there's a few of you out there who are also thinking, maybe I need to be a little bit more ready than I am, but I don't know where to start, and this all seems super intimidating. We are going to go over their 6 basic steps for starting to learn about prepping and the things that you need to do to be more prepared. Quote, "It's simple. Depending on what happens, you'll either stay in your home, leave your home, or be away from home. Making it needlessly complicated makes you less prepared." I guess when I think of prepping, I'm thinking about a storage cellar that has all this extra stuff in it. I'm thinking about this huge stockpile that takes up a lot of space that you spent thousands of dollars on. And it's good to hear that being simple is a good idea. First, they share some beginner mistakes and tips. The first one addresses those off-the-shelf kits, and they say don't buy them, which makes me feel a lot better that they're not all that they're cracked up to be, and maybe they're not worth as much because it doesn't have what you specifically need. One of them is stay realistic and practical. What kind of emergencies might actually happen, and what would you need in that circumstance? So we're not preparing for the zombie apocalypse. We're preparing for a hurricane, a flood, being snowed in, things like that might actually happen. I thought this one was a good one, and it says avoid having gear doubling up. So like your camping gear cannot be your prepping gear. So if in your camping gear you have a water filter, you should have a different water filter in your prepping gear because things get scattered, and in an emergency you need to know where all your stuff is and it needs to all be in one place. And they also suggest that you are ready to both leave your house or shelter in place. So you're ready for both. You're not just basing all your plans on the fact that you're going to stay in your location or that you're not going to stay in your location. Plan based on your personal risks. So if you live in the mountains, you are probably not going to be worrying about a hurricane. So consider that when you are figuring out what you might need and what might be necessary for you to survive. Okay, and now on to those 6 steps. And the first step is get your finances and health in order. I wasn't really expecting this on a prepping list, and this is kind of what my whole entire channel is about, is getting your finances in order. So this is pretty much my favorite one. So this is about having that emergency fund. So it says in this article that 50% of Americans cannot handle a $500 emergency. So if you have a fully funded emergency fund, you are ready for the unexpected. We just finally finished restocking our emergency fund after the birth of my son. So that is such a good feeling. If you need to figure out how much emergency fund you personally need, I have a whole video about that, and I will leave a link in the description for you guys. But I never really thought about this in the prepping category, but we are prepped for emergencies by having that emergency fund. Most problems you can solve with money. So if you have extra money set aside for an emergency, you can really save yourself from having any sort of emergency by going and buying the things that you need. So don't put yourself in a tight spot by not having an emergency fund. The other piece of this first step in this article is health. And this one is a little bit harsh. They're like, well, if you're not in shape and you can't walk up the stairs easily, it's going to be harder to survive. And it's true. So are you mentally and physically ready for a survival situation? So keep your body in tip-top shape so that in an emergency situation, you are ready for the physical exertion that would take. Step 2 is to get your home ready for 2 weeks of self-reliance. So this 2 weeks of supplies is being able to survive at your house without leaving for 2 complete weeks. And they give some lovely ideas of what might make that happen, where you might need to stay home for 2 weeks, and none of those suggestions are very lovely at all. The electrical or water grid goes down for a few days. A nasty hurricane floods your city for a week. A nearby city is attacked by an enemy, or total collapse. They have a great home checklist summary here. Water, 15 gallons of potable water per person. So we don't have that much water sitting around, but we do have a small non-electric water filter, and we do live by some water features that we could walk to if we needed to get water out of a stream and then filter it for drinking. And then they said food, at least 23,000 calories per person, something to make a fire, light, heating and cooling. We do own a camper trailer and we have extra fuel for that. I don't know if that would, how long that would really last us in an emergency, and I'm imagining that in an emergency it would be hard to come by fuel, so we need to kind of think about those stores. Shelter, a tarp, we do have a little tent, we also have the trailer, so we're kind of set in that area. Medical, we are not very good with our first aid kits, we need to get on that. Hygiene, we've got lots of baby wipes. We're good there. They have like links to all of these things. If you're like, okay, what kind of medical supplies should I have on hand? They have a link in the article. Communication, we do not have a cool radio. That would be cool. Power, spare batteries, tools, self-defense, cash, mental health. I like this as a category, like what are you gonna do? How are you gonna keep yourself amused and sane if something goes really wrong? Documents, I like that. If you have like a bug out bag and you have your important documents already copied in there. And local and emergency info, we live like 2 minutes from the hospital, so I don't know if people would need to have those numbers and if the cells weren't working, I don't know. Step number 3 is to have a bug out bag for each adult. So we kind of went over some of the things that you might consider putting in that bug out bag, and they have a list here. I'm just going to read them really fast. Individual first aid kit, level 1, potable water, canteen, collapsible, that's a great idea, water filter, purification tablets, food that's ready to eat, a lighter, tinder, headlamp, field knife, multi-purpose tool, rope, tarp, waterproof pen and paper, documents, physical or USB drive, cash, soap, toilet paper, nail clippers, hat, socks, top, base layer, pants, underwear, jacket, bandana, radio, charging cable, battery pack, respirator, trash bags, and storage bags. Okay, by respirator, they just mean a mask, like one that could protect you from wildfire smoke, perhaps, like an N95, so that you could have easier breathing, especially if you have asthma or something. That could be very essential. And step number 4 is get home bags, everyday carry, and vehicle supplies. So this is for your car. What if the emergency starts and you're away from home? Are you prepared to survive away from home? So this would ideally be stored in your car, and you have to think about what things would not melt in your car if your car gets really hot or cold, to make sure all of your items would be okay in your car. We do not have an in-car bag, but we do have a fire extinguisher in our car, so does that count? And I know my husband like brings tools and stuff when we're away from home to like fix the car or the trailer or stuff. I don't really know anything about that, but he makes sure that if we broke down, he could fix it. And because of the extreme temperatures in your car, they're like only fill your water 85% full so that you can allow for the ice expanding it so everything doesn't bust open. They have quite a few other lists about what things you might want to carry like in your purse or your backpack, and then specific items for your car if you want to look into that also. Step 5 in your prepping journey would be to learn, practice, and plan. So I never have gotten a flat tire, but my dad made sure that I actually practiced with the car jack to make sure that I could actually do it in emergency. And this is the same idea. If you don't know how to use your gear or how it works, if you get in an emergency, you're not going to be able to use it. Therefore, it won't do you any good. which would be bad. There are so many resources on this website. I really encourage you to check it out. But they have some links to some other articles about how to use a compass and map, ham radio for beginners, how to clean a wound, how to use a tourniquet, how to give stitches, how to sharpen a blade with random stuff. So if you want to start your learning journey, definitely check out this website. I am feeling like I definitely need to be looking into these things also, because I am not feeling as prepared as I thought I might be. They're also suggesting that you get in the habit of an annual or semi-annual prep review. So put it on your calendar. And step 6 would be to share and recruit. I guess I'm sharing now. Does that count? If you can get your friends and your neighbors also prepared for an emergency, there's going to be less problems for everyone else, because that's what I'm thinking about. Like, okay, so say we are personally prepared for an emergency, but I want to be helping all the people that aren't prepared. But if there's less people that aren't prepared, things will go smoother and less people will need things in an emergency. So the more people that we can talk about the importance of being ready for an emergency and having those supplies on hand, the better. And then at the end, they have this awesome little now what section about, I've got these things down. I'm ready for 2 weeks. I'm ready to shelter at home for 2 weeks. I'm ready with my bug out bags for each adult. Now what? How can I be more prepared? And so they have a list here of things that you could do if you want to go even farther. Increase the amount of time that you can survive off grid. So take it from 2 weeks to a month to more, or even better, get your house all the way off grid. I got to visit someone's house in Alaska and they were totally off grid. It was so cool. They had all these windmills, they had solar panels, they had backup generators, they had all the things. So they were totally self-sufficient. It was so cool. Explore and learn about ways to grow food and livestock and what it would look like to actually care for animals and butcher them and all that sort of thing, so that you could be self-sustaining for all of your food needs. Even if you just start small and you have a little garden knowledge in an emergency, if things lasted for a long time, you could keep improving those skills that you'd already started to feed your family. Also look into rain collection methods, learn about homesteading techniques, about like how to mend things, how to fix things, how to repair things. I do know how to sew. Have a library of survival books that's building up so you don't have to rely on the internet, so you could figure things out. Like maybe you want a first aid book, maybe you want like a long-term survival, maybe you want homesteading books, so that you don't have to rely on the internet to find all your information, because in an emergency for a long time, the internet probably would not be available, and so you couldn't just go, okay, Google, how do you can? That wouldn't work. Let us know down in the comments, have you started any prepping activities, and what does that look like for you guys? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more. Can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye for now.